Hare Krishna. I wish to extend my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for being here for our yatra in Vrindavan and for being with us this evening. This afternoon, we celebrated Annakuta, where devotees from all various social roles, various different religious backgrounds, different races, from all parts of the world, had the opportunity to prepare bhoga, or food for Krishna. Although I had to unexpectedly go for a very important event, I came back just in time to walk through the kitchen. Kitchen is a field where little clay and brick stoves, I believe about 200, were set up in rows, each one equipped with some cow dung and a little wood and some little clay pots to cook on, some big ones too. And perhaps 1,000 people in different shifts were sitting in the dust of Braj Bhumi cooking. And I saw people from very aristocratic, wealthy social status breaking cow dung patties and handing it over to little villagers and farmers, cooking together around the same pot. PhDs from IIT and other such universities were with people who really don't have much education at all. They were cutting the vegetables together and rolling the pastries together, cleaning the pots together. In devotion, when we are identifying ourselves in our eternal nature, Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas, that we're eternal servants of Krishna. And we see that every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna. In this material world, people are in various levels of remembrance of that truth. But as devotees, on whatever level we may be in, we learn to really truly appreciate anyone's efforts to make honest and sincere efforts for the pleasure of the Lord. Patram pushpam palam toyam. Krishna is pleased by our devotion. If we offer a little leaf or flower or fruit or water, with such sincere devotion, Krishna is pleased to accept it. Just as in kirtan, whoever we are, if we're sincere to take shelter of the holy names as we're chanting and dancing, to the degree we actually are in the consciousness of kirtan, then we are above all of the egoistic ways in which we analyze each other. Material world, the material consciousness is we want to put ourselves in the center because we're so far from Krishna. We're under the illusion that satisfying my own body, mind, and ego will be a source of happiness. And in this state, we're even willing to make so many offenses to others. Because ultimately, we don't care. It's just about I and mine. But kirtan is when we put our whole consciousness in Krishna. Hare Krishna, Radha Govinda Dev. And in that state, with Krishna in the center, then we can appreciate our relationships with each other. And in a similar way, just as when there's 5,000 people in a kirtan or 3 people in a kirtan, we have a chance to rise above the external conceptions of ego. So when we are all cooking together, so many people were crying. Almost everyone I saw in that kitchen was crying because of the smoke in their eyes. But actually, they were willing to endure the smoke in their eyes for a higher purpose, to make an offering of love to Krishna. And it was truly a blissful environment. The same way people have cooked in Vrindavan for centuries and centuries. A timeless lack of modern technology. And ultimately, all the preparations were brought together. I was told it was 1,300 preparations approximately, just made in a little field near Govardhan Hill. And believe it or not, to organize that type of simple village cooking is practically as difficult as managing an international corporation. But for devotees, it's very wonderful because they're not getting any money. They're just pleasing other devotees by giving them an opportunity to find happiness in serving together. When Krishna inaugurated this Anakut, there were massive mountains of Bhoga. And Sri Giriraj, with his very long hands, he picked up everything. And right in front of everyone's eyes, he ate it. In Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, he also reciprocated with his devotees in a similar way. The essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Ras Leela of Sri Krishna, the culmination of pure unalloyed devotion. Unless one is completely transcendental to even the slightest trace of egoism, desire for profit, adoration, distinction, or any type of sensual gratification, one cannot really appreciate the Rasa Leela. The gopis were considered, even by the greatest renunciates like Shukadev Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupan Sanatan, as the most detached, pure-hearted, and surrendered of all devotees. In the highest perfection of love. And the Ras Leela is the reciprocation of that love between Lord Sri Krishna and each of his devotees. And the glories of Sri Radha are revealed there. Our acharyas tell us that that same Rasa Leela was reenacted every night for 1 year in the house of Srivas during Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented the topmost limits of Krishna consciousness and Krishna Leela in a way that was most understandable and accessible to the people of this age of Kali. In Ras Leela, Krishna was the Purusha and everyone was gopis. When Lord Shiva wanted to participate, he had to accept a gopi form. When Narada Muni wanted to participate in the Rasa Leela on the banks of Sri Radha Kund, he performed tapasya at Narada Kund, just on the Govardhan parikrama. Brinda Devi, the goddess of Vrindavan. Lord Shiva humbled himself to her and expressed his desire. By Brinda Devi's mercy, she taught Lord Shiva how to actually be in the mood of the complete self-sacrifice of gopis. And she took him to Kusum Sarovar. And with her blessings, he went underwater in Kusum Sarovar and came out Naradi Gopi. in a female form, where he could participate in being the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis at Sri Radha Kund. That same Narada Muni, of course, a little later after the Ras Leela, Vrinda Devi put him back in Kusum Sarovar, and he came out as Narada Muni. And it was there at Narada Kund that he compiled, or he wrote, the Narada Bhakti Sutras. It is that Narada Muni who became Srivas, at whose house the Ras Leela was being performed in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas. Radha Bhava, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna experiencing the love of Sri Radha. Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani. Vrinda Devi is Mukunda Sarakar. In Lord Chaitanya's Leela, he was a medical doctor. Hanuman. In Lord Chaitanya's Leela, even Hanuman entered Ras Leela as Murari Gupta. Advaitacharya is Sadashiva and Mahavishnu. Nityananda Prabhu is Sri Balaram. So they are all males, and they're dancing together. But internally, the ecstasies of Vrindavan are manifesting within them. Today in this world, to be a sahajya, or to take things cheaply, to try to think that we can really enter into very high levels of ecstatic ras when we still have egos and desires for gratifications. It's very common. Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas sometimes defined Parakrita Sahajya as taking things cheaply. And that's such a tendency in practically everyone in this world, to take things cheaply. We want things quick. We want things fast. We don't want to pay price. We want to think ourselves something we're not, without really developing the qualifications to receive it. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he performed the Rasa Leela. He revealed Krishna's most intimate pastimes in ways where the supreme esteem of the sanctity and the purity of Krishna's Leela was truly honored. And he taught us to do the same. They would dance and chant, and the inner rasas of Braja within their hearts were manifesting. Torrents of tears of love as these devotees were all singing and dancing together. And just as Sukadev Goswami tells that in Krishna's Sarat Purnima Ras Leela, although it was just one night, Krishna actually manifested an entire day of Brahma for the gopis and Krishna to dance together. And similarly, the nights during that 1 year of the kirtans at Srivas, it is described Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made those kirtans 1 yuga in length. One night, because Lord Chaitanya was always in the mood of a devotee. He was not in the mood of the enjoyer Krishna. He was in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Because he was teaching us. But in the house of Srivas, only the most pure, exalted, self-realized souls were given entrance. Because the ecstasies of love that were manifesting from their hearts were not understandable to ordinary people. But one night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he really wanted to fulfill all the desires of the devotees. To everyone's great surprise, he sat on the throne of Vishnu, the altar. And the devotees were looking upon him with such joy, such expectation. And he said, "Sing the song that is offered with the abhishek." So they understood exactly what he was saying. And if you remember, we were describing a few days ago how Indra and all the devas, they all came together to perform abhishek for Krishna at Govinda Kund. But the Panchagavya, the 5 gifts of mother cow, and the Panchamrita, the 5 nectars, and hundreds of pots of water from Govinda Kund. So that same pastime was offered for Lord Chaitanya as he was sitting, accepting the worship, manifesting himself as Krishna. And they brought tens and thousands of pots of water from Mother Ganga. And they bathed him in the Panchagavya and the Panchamrita. And they were singing and they were dancing. Then they dressed him nicely. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed something like the Anakuta. He was just sitting there and he said, "Please offer me food." So someone gave him some bananas, and then some coconuts, and then some fruits. Vrindavan Das Thakur says within a blink of the eye, he ate more than what hundreds of people could eat. And just as Giriraj, after the Brijabasis offered him several miles of distance, of huge mountains, after he ate it all, he cried out, "Aniyor, give me more." So they tried to give him as much. Whatever they gave, he said, give me more, Anior. So after they gave Lord Chaitanya everything, he said, give me more. So the devotees ran outside and went from village to shop and bought everything. And they came back and offered him at a time thousands of bananas and thousands of coconuts and thousands of fruits and tens and thousands of buckets of milk and yogurt, dahi. And they were bringing thousands of sandeshes and rasgullas and all of these different preparations. And within a second, he ate them and said, bring me more. The devotee said, my Lord, your belly contains all the universes. How could we ever fill you up? But how much they were in happiness. Together. All together. They were just bringing more and more food and preparing more and more food and offering it to the Lord. And he just ate it all immediately. What hundreds and thousands of people cannot eat. And he didn't get indigestion because he was manifesting his opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just as Giriraj, during the Govardhan Leela, he offered everyone any benediction they liked and fulfilled it. And then under the hill, Shri Giridhari completely fulfilled every single devotee's most intimate desires. Whether they were a flower, or a deer, or a bird, or a buffalo, or a goat, or a cow, or an old Brahmin, or an old or young Gopa or Gopi, everyone's desires were completely fulfilled. So during this Mahaprakash Leela, which went on continuously for 21 hours, Lord Chaitanya was fulfilling each and every one of his devotees' innermost desires. Murari Gupta, who was Hanumanji, Lord Chaitanya called him and was glorifying Murari Gupta with such love. He said, Murari, do you not remember who I am and who you are? And suddenly, Murari Gupta saw his beloved Lord Ram. And next to Ram was Sita and Lakshman. And he saw so many other monkey soldiers around Ram offering obeisances. And Murari Gupta happened to look down and he saw that he had a tail. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am your beloved Lord Ram, and you are Hanuman. And Murari fell unconscious in ecstasy of love. Don't hear is Sita. You cried a shoreless ocean of tears, seeing her plight in Sri Lanka. And here is Lakshman. You carried an entire mountain over a distance of 1,000 miles to protect him. You are my eternal servant. The Lord asked him, please ask for any benediction. Murari Gupta, Hanuman. To understand what devotees value is to truly understand what it means to be a devotee. He said, I just want to remember you. I don't want to ask anything from you. But if I must ask something, that in every birth I may take in this world, I could be in the association of your devotees. Let me be among those devotees who consider you their master and themselves as a servant. Let me forever chant your holy names in the company of such devotees, as the servant of your servants. He's not asking, I want to become God. I want supernatural powers. I want liberation. Because for one who has actually tasted bhakti, all of these things are insignificant. To value the association of devotees, to value chanting God's names in that association and remembering the Lord is the true desire of those who have tasted the highest limits of love. Lord Chaitanya turned to Advaitacharya. He said, I appeared in this world because of you. You fasted and you prayed for so long out of compassion for all beings. And by your compassion to every living being, I came to the world to deliver them. But you've never asked anything for yourself. Ask for a benediction. Advaitacharya, he identified himself as someone who was very wretched and very sinful. Just let me remember you.